right, guys. Welcome to Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom, W5KUB, and we're so glad you're with us tonight. And just want to ask, do we have any new people tonight? If there's any new people tonight with us, please say hello in the chat room. We'd love to hear from you. And we're especially doing a shout out tonight. There's a Facebook group called Real In-Fed Antennas that I'm a member of, and I love that group. They're growing at about 250 people a week. I mean, I don't understand it, but the in-fed antenna is becoming very popular. So hello out there to all you in-fed antenna people. And let's just ask. Also, is there anybody here that came to us from the in-fed antenna, the Real In-Fed Antenna Facebook group? I'd like to see you in the chat room and say hello if you did. Want to say welcome to all of our listeners out there on international shortwave on WBCQ on 7490 kilohertz. We're a relatively low power station. We're only running about 50,000 watts, but the antenna is up in Maine and at Monticello, Maine, and it's actually beaming the all the shortwave stations. The antenna has to beam a certain place. And right now, they're beaming at Mexico City. So I don't know if we got anybody in Mexico City down there or not. If you're listening out there on WBCQ, please send us an email. Send it to tom@w5kub.com. tom@w5kub.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a signal report. Tell us where you are and how you're hearing the station. I'd like to ask a big favor for everybody out there, if you will. Please hit the subscribe button. We added a subscribe button to the video. You can see it down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Please, if you will, hit that subscribe button. It will really, really help us out to advertise the show within YouTube out there and bring more people into our show. We want to invite you to join our Facebook group. We've got a great Facebook group. It's growing pretty rapidly. We've got over 12,000 members in our ham radio Facebook group. Just search for W5KUB and you'll find it. Or you can search for Amateur Radio Roundtable and it will also take you there. But the short W5KUB will get you to our group. We'd love to have you there. And be a participant. Let us know what you're doing here and post some pictures and things that you're doing there. Let's see what else is going on here. Hey, weather report. We had about an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches of snow a few days ago. It lasted, it was tough, man. It lasted, I think, about 24 hours, then it was gone. But we survived that. My generator, the gas man has been here. He's run the pipe for my home generator. But I'm waiting on the inspection, the city inspector to tell them that the pipe's okay, and maybe I'll get it hooked up this week. We're supposed to get more snow this weekend, so I want that generator hooked up before this weekend.
No, you know what's going to happen.
What's that? What's that?
We're going to get snow, power's going to go out, and 3 days after everything clears up and everything, then you get your generator hooked up.
Well, I might do it, but you know what? I still have my portable generator back there for backup, and I'm not getting rid of it until I get the home generator completely all put in. It's all wired in, and you know what's funny? The gas man, he ran about an 8-foot pipe, and he had to cap this pipe off and put pressure on it. And the inspector has to come out and check and make sure the pipe held the pressure. This is a one inch steel pipe, about 8 feet long. Let's see if it's going to hold the pressure. But anyway, that's another story. All right, well, let's see. I think I've made all the announcements. We're going to have a special guest with us tonight. Somebody that has been with the show here for a number of years. Started off as a how do I say it? A little. Almost a kid, and worked in the show and kind of grew up in the show, and is now pulling a lot of weight in the show. We're going to have that guest with us a little later in the show tonight. Hey, Hambot's going to give away a prize tonight. We're going to give away a multimeter. Guys, let me tell you something. This is a good multimeter. This is a Harbor Freight multimeter. That means...
Hey, I've got one in both of my cars
that
and
means
somewhere in my lab.
You can throw this in your toolbox, throw it in your truck. You can throw it under your feet, throw it wherever you want to. But when you need to check your battery, you got a digital multimeter here. We're going to give this away tonight. And actually, it costs a whole lot more to ship it than the thing's worth. But we're going to give it away tonight. We're going to get Hambot to give it away tonight. And that's going to be fun tonight. Let's see. So, Glenn, how you been doing down there? And what you got going? And you're fixing to hit some Hamfest here soon, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, we got hit by the same snow you did, except ours didn't start until like 4 o'clock in the morning, lasted till like 10, and it was already melting by that evening. So we didn't get anything at all out of this round. We got more the last time around. They are saying more this coming weekend, and just my luck, just as we were talking about you and the generator, I am going to the Collinsville, Illinois Winterfest, which is just outside of St. Louis on Friday, and going to be doing an Arduino forum there on Saturday, and got a table, so I'm going to be selling some stuff, and feels good to be back in the Hamfest swing of things.
All right. Well, very good, man. And, hey, have a good time up there representing us. We're not going to go to any of these right now. We're going to...
You really trust me to represent you?
I'm trusting you to represent us.
You like to live dangerously.
All right. Hey, Alan, come on in here. Alan, what's going on up in New Jersey?
All righty. Good evening to you. Good evening to all. Not too much going on up here. And a short work week started yesterday. It was Monday. Today was Monday for me. We had Monday off with the holiday. But, we've got a couple of things for tech tips tonight. We've talked on and off about the nano VNA. So I figure we'll do replay two of my videos and maybe have a discussion on two topics with it. One is a little bit of a tutorial on how to use the nano VNA to check the tuning characteristics or the resonant characteristics of your antenna, and how to visually see what your antenna tuner is doing. So that'll be the first one. And then another topic that we've discussed here in past weeks and months is the effects of adding or subtracting transmission line length between your antenna and your transmitter. What does that do? So I've got a little video on that. We've been using the VNA to show the effects of that as well. So we'll run those today. We had them queued up for last week, so we'll just hold them off for this week. So we'll do them today.
All right. Looking forward to seeing that. I enjoyed your discussion on the nano VNA a while back on the show, and I almost learned how to use part of it. I got my nano VNA out tonight, and I'm going to play with it as you talk about it. Maybe I can learn how to get past step 1 or 2. And it does help. The little shorting things and the little open and the short and the 50 ohm connectors that you have to put on here to calibrate. I had my 50 ohm and my short backwards. I had them marked backwards. My short was 50 ohms, and my 50 ohms was short. So that probably made a difference on how this thing works. So
that'll mess up your calibration.
Yeah, it ought to make it read backwards or something, I would think. But I don't know. And hey, I just want to know too how to turn a few of those things off. I don't want all that curly Q stuff running around here. I just like to start off simple, man, with SWR. Yeah,
and you can do that. It kind of starts off with 4 traces up. You don't need them all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look, why don't we, let's see, I was just looking at the chat room there. I see, who was it? AG2GL, man, he said he blew up his Harbor Freight meter. Boy, maybe he'll win tonight, and we can get AG2GL another one there. And actually, I have so many of those meters in my closet here, I might be able to help AG2GL later get one if he really desperately needs it. All right, well, hey, Alan, why don't we jump right into this? Let's get started tonight, and let's just learn something.
All righty. So yeah, why don't you let me see? I think it's got to let me share a screen here.
Yep.
And we'll first talk about how to use the nano VNA to sweep or measure an antenna's SWR or return loss or both, and then also how actually looking at the Smith chart, you can actually visualize what your antenna tuner is doing. So it's only about a 6-minute video. We could play that first and then go talk about it. I think I might touch a little bit on calibration first and how to turn on and off the traces that you want to have on and not have turned on. So that's one of the stumbling points. People look at the screen, it looks very jumbled and confusing. We can turn off those things that we don't need and make it very simple. So the nano VNA can really do an awful lot of things. Using it as an antenna analyzer is basically just one small piece of what it can be used for. But it's probably one of the things that most of us hams will use most often. Those of us that do things like home brewing and things like that and designing our own filters and that type of a thing might take advantage of some of the other features of it. But probably analyzing an antenna system is probably one of the most common things that us as hams will actually use it for. So let me do a quick little share of this guy here, and let me make sure I click the share sound button as well, and so that should help. So you should see my screen here.
Yep.
It looks like I was looking at the outgoing feed there. Tom, looks like you've got it. So I'm going to hit play on here. It's only 6 minutes.
Okay.
And we can spend some time discussing this. If you have any questions as we go along, post them in the chat room and we'll talk about them after. So here we go.
In this video, we're going to take a quick look at how to use a nano VNA, like this nano VNA H4.
So to pause for a second, I just want to make sure that the audio is coming through.
Yes, it sounded good.
Okay, here we go.
Measure an antenna and then help with optimizing its tuning. Now, to measure an antenna, you can use the reflection coefficient or the SWR or the Smith chart. I'm going to choose to use all three. You can see that the yellow trace is already set up to be the log mag of the reflection coefficient, so we'll leave that. The green trace is already the Smith chart, so we'll leave that one alone. So we'll reconfigure the blue trace to be SWR and then get rid of the purple trace. So we bring up the menu, go to display, go to trace, and let's first just get rid of purple trace by touching on it again to get rid of it. And then we'll select trace number 1. The inverse text tells us we're selected. We'll go back and then tell it to be on channel 0, which is the reflection channel, or the S11 channel. And now we just have to go back in one more time to the format and hit SWR. Next, let's set up the frequency range we want to test. So we'll bring our menu back up and go back and back again and go to stimulus. In our case, I want to measure the 40-meter amateur radio band from 7 megahertz to 7.3. So I touch on the start frequency and I dial in 7 M for megahertz. That will set up the start frequency. And then we'll go back in and select stop frequency 7.3 megahertz. And now we've set up the stimulus range that we want to test. The next thing we want to do is run the calibration, because the default calibration is going to have 2 course of a granularity to measure over this limited frequency range that we have. So we go bring the menu back up, go back and hit cal, and go to reset the existing calibration. We can see that those calibration indicators have gone away over here. And then we hit calibrate. And since we're only doing a reflection measurement on channel 0, we only have to do an open, short, and load. So we start off by putting the open on the port and touching open. And next we put a short on the port and touch short. And then we replace the short with a 50 ohm load on the port and touch load. Once we've done all 3 standards, we can hit done and then choose to save it to a memory location. I'm going to choose just to save it to location 1. So now we hook up the antenna. With the antenna hooked up, we can see our SWR plot over the 40 meter band. We can see the log magnitude of the reflection coefficient, and we can see the Smith chart. And we can use the jog wheel to move our cursor or marker to make measurements at various frequencies across the range. Or we even have some marker functions to search for a min or a max. So for example, if I touch on marker number 1, that activates trace number 1, and I can go into the marker function and do a search and search for a minimum, and that will put the marker right at the minimum. And I can see that's at 7.216 megahertz. Now, of course, that's all we need to do if all we want to do is to sweep the antenna. But if we want to retune it, for example, we can leave these displays up and actually watch the reaction as we adjust the tuning on the antenna. So let's say, for example, I want to retune the resonant point of the antenna to be closer to the middle of the CW portion of the band instead of in the phone portion where it is now. So we can actually just watch the reaction on the VNA as I tune the controls on my antenna tuner. And this is where I find it handy to have the Smith chart shown on the VNA, because you can actually see how the controls on the antenna tuner are going to twist and roll the trace on the Smith chart, and it gives you a little bit better intuitive feel about which way to tune the various controls.
I'm going to pause here for a second because one comment I wanted to make, because I'm not sure I made it in the video, is that in the Smith chart, the ideal 50 ohm point is right dead center in the circular chart, kind of right where that marker is right there. So that's really where you want to kind of target a particular operating frequency, is to have that the Smith chart plot cross right through the dead center of the Smith chart. We'll pick up the video again here.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is move my marker down to somewhere in the CW portion of the band, maybe around 7.07, 7.06, 7.05, something in the neighborhood. So to give me an idea, that's the point that I want to now try to optimize with the tuner. All right, we'll start by moving some of the dials around here. Let's take a look at how the various curves move around. We can see as I turn my inductor up, I can see the Smith chart's kind of turning around in this direction. Okay, and the resonant point is coming down in frequency, so that's kind of going the right way. Okay, and we can actually see I'm bringing my marker on the Smith chart closer and closer to the center of the Smith chart. So I'm getting kind of close, but it's still kind of missing the mark a little bit, so we're probably going to have to optimize the capacitor here as well. So if we tweak on that a little bit, I can see I'm deepening the null there on the reflection coefficient, and I'm getting pretty close. So you can see with just a little more fine tuning on the controls of the tuner, I've got myself pretty darn good at my desired point right there. SWR is about 1.02. I'm sitting right at the center of the Smith chart. Reflection coefficient's down around minus 30 something dB. So we've successfully retuned this antenna from the phone portion of the band down to the CW portion. Yeah, so give it a try yourself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. We'll be planning on doing a couple of more nano VNA videos here in the future. Let me know what you'd like to see. And if you haven't subscribed.
Alrighty, I'll stop the share here real quick. And so that was just, again, a short little video. I know it goes pretty quick if you're trying to follow along and do it. But the nice thing about YouTube is you can stop it and pause it. You can even change the playback speed if you want. But it goes through the basic process, turning on or off the traces you want to have, configuring those traces to be what parameter you want to show. And you could just bring up a Smith chart and turn off all the other traces. Just go to the traces menu and eliminate the traces you don't want. Once you've got the trace or traces up that you want, then you go to the channel to tell, for each trace, tell what channel you want it to be on. For measuring an antenna, that's always going to be channel 0, okay, which is the reflection port. And then once you've got those set up, you can set up the format, whether you want it to be the log magnitude. The log mag is the log magnitude of what's called the S11, or the reflection coefficient. If you take away the minus sign, it's also called return loss. And then you can bring up SWR, and then the Smith chart I put up there as well. Because I said, the more you play with it, you can kind of see how the Smith chart kind of curls around. It gives you a bit more intuitive feel of what each of the tuner controls are doing. And then running the calibration is the only other piece that you've really got to think about. Usually these nano VNAs, when you get them, the default calibration that comes up when you first power it up goes from like 100 megahertz to 900 megahertz. And with the limited number of points that you've got in the nano VNA, you're not going to have a lot of calibrated points within a given amateur radio band. So it's a good idea to recalibrate over the band you want to measure over, just so that your calibration points are close. Now for HF, there isn't a whole lot of change. Like if you were calibrated from 5 to 10 megahertz and you wanted to measure the 7 megahertz band, you're probably going to be okay, because you'll get some interpolation between those points. But since you got to calibrate it anyway, you might as well go ahead and do it. And you do have those individual save slots for the calibration that you can save for the most popular bands that you use. So once you run the calibration and you save it, then it's just a matter of recalling the proper calibration for the frequency range you want to use, and go from there. So anyway, I don't see too many questions, I don't think, popped up here in the chat. So either everybody knows this, or nobody cares, or everybody's asleep. I don't know, Tom. What do you think?
I got a question. You say now, I always measure on the 0 port. What is it? S0?
Well, yeah, on the nano VNA, they call it channel 0, CH0.
Yeah,
and there's also a label there called S11. The unfortunate thing is that most of the professional, you got it. Most of the professional VNA world, it's called port 1. Okay. But for some reason, the nano VNA folks called it channel 0, just to make things confusing. But on the nano VNA, that's the only port that actually sources a signal and then measures the reflection coming back. Okay, the channel 1 port is just a receive port. So it's just for making through measurements, like through a cable or through a filter or through an amplifier.
Now it's also marked, looks like S11 and S21.
Right. So S11, that's the right way to call that. S11 is it's called an S parameter. And the way you interpret what S parameters are, it's essentially a ratio. It's called a scattering parameter, but it's effectively a ratio. It's measuring the response on a port in response to a signal being provided by another port. Okay, and the two numbers following the S tell you which port is being measured. Again, and then the second number is telling you which port is providing the source. Okay, so in the case S11, you're measuring on port 1, which is channel 0, in response to a signal being provided by port 1. That's why it's called S11. And so that's why it's a reflection measurement. It's sending a signal out of port 1, so that's the stimulus, and then some energy is going to be reflected off the load and then be reflected back into that port. And that's the ratio of that reflected energy to the generated stimulus is really what that reflection coefficient is. It's a complex number, meaning that it measures both the magnitude of the echo or the reflection coming back, as well as the phase. But the plot that we're showing, the log mag, is just the log magnitude of that energy coming back. We're not looking at phase in this case. So it's really just the reflection coefficient that's mathematically related to SWR. So you can just mathematically transform them. The nano VNA is doing that for you. So we're displaying both the S11 plot, which is the yellow trace in my video, and then the blue trace, which was SWR. They're both measuring the same thing, but they're mathematically computing different ways of representing that. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to pull your video up and pause it quite a bit. Maybe back it up, run it, back it up, run it. I really want to use this. I need to learn how to use it.
Antenna analyzer, like one of the rig experts, they do basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. But the rig expert, you set it up for one measurement at a time, either showing an SWR plot or showing a return loss plot or showing, Smith chart, for example. or even like a bar chart. Okay.
Well, that would
The
be
case of the
nice.
Nano VNA, you can kind of throw them all up on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, I know you can go in here and you can turn off all those different layers and get it down to what you want. But hey, maybe the new model should have a switch on it, where you can flip just SWR or Smith chart or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and the nice thing too is that when you do that save in the calibration, it also saves which traces you have turned on and what formats there are. So if you want to set this up so that it's just going to be an SWR plot over a given frequency range, set that trace up, turn all the other traces off, do your calibration, save that into one of those slots, and whenever you recall that particular recalled location or that saved state, it'll basically just look like your antenna analyzer, and you won't have to do that all over again.
So they're asking if you ever tried I guess that's the tiny SA. Oh, that's the spectrum analyzer. I've also got one of those here. It's the very same almost footprint.
Yeah, I haven't picked one of those up yet. I have several spectrum analyzers, so I haven't picked up the tiny SA yet. So that's why you haven't seen any videos from me on the tiny SA. So, but it is one of those things that I'll probably wind up picking up at some point this year. And we'll do a little review on that. But it's basically just a, I would say just a spectrum analyzer. It doesn't have any kind of a source to do network analysis like the VNA.
Yeah, it's very similar built with the switch and a little thumb wheel down here. It's a lot smaller though.
I'm surprised I haven't, because the Nano VNA when it first came out had that same small display, and then later on, they came out with ones with the larger 4-inch display. Right. I'm surprised that no one is, or if they have, I haven't seen it. Produced one of the tiny SAs with a 4-inch screen instead of that 3-inch screen.
Yeah, and I did play with this a little bit. I did compare it with a high end or high dollar spectrum analyzer, and it was pretty accurate as far as the levels it was reading, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest limitation probably is that you've probably only got 100 points, on the sweep because it's such a tiny display. And I'm not sure how many choices you have of resolution bandwidth, which might make it difficult for you to be able to look at closely spaced frequencies or distortion products or something like that. So,
yeah. All right. Well, that's
Charlie also mentioned in the chat room, the benefit of the VNA is that you also have S21. And again, if you think about that nomenclature for the S parameters, what that means is that the S21 is the response measured on port 2 in response to the signal being provided by port 1. So if you connect up, say, a filter between port 1 and port 2, or channel 0 and channel 1, you can essentially measure the filter response, by on port 2 in response to the signal being provided by port 1. So it's effectively doing a frequency response measurement, both in magnitude and phase, and that's what S21 is.
Yeah, and I want to learn how to do that because it'd be neat. I've tried to design a few little low-pass filters, high-pass filters, things like that, and I assume that little thing there would probably
homebrew things, or if you design your own filters and things like that, like for maybe using something for field data, notch out the guys on the other bands or something like that. You can take a look at those responses. And I've also done a video showing how you can actually use these nano VNAs to help you tune up like a duplexer for like a 2-meter repeater, for example.
All right. Well, hey, that's interesting. We'll look at your other video and we'll talk about it here in just a minute.
Okay.
Hey, just a couple things technology-wise. I saw, just to mention, 30 seconds. Did you know right now there are 18-wheelers with no drivers driving between Dallas and Houston? Did you know that?
I did not.
It's been written up now. Driverless 18-wheelers, Houston to Dallas, that has become the test stretch for all these unmanned vehicles. Wow, man. Can you imagine an 18-wheeler coming down the road and no driver in it? Man, oh man.
Yeah, like I said, I know the technology's coming a long way. It's just so many unpredictable things. You just never know. But I don't know. To me personally, I like driving. I like driving. I like a manual transmission, and those things are going away. But I guess for the rest of my lifetime, I'll hopefully have a car that I can drive myself and row the gears myself. So we'll see.
Well, technology is really, man. I mean, you would never thought this stuff back, years ago. And I mean, I found on AliExpress you can buy just about anything out there, anything you need. I found some. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at this, man. You want a miniature handy talkie? Look at this. They're making them small now. And
no, they're not making them small. They're just picking them before they're full grown.
I guess so, man. But look at that now. I'm just thinking, man. Maybe I get a couple of those and put them on a balloon or something. I think it
Brings
weighs
a whole new meaning to fat
it weighs,
fingers.
and I think the weight of that is less than 30 grams. The whole handy talkie there,
you can
man.
send that up with the ants, and they can give you live communication.
Man, it's just amazing of what is happening out there, man. We're really living in a good time of a life right now with all these things, man. I mean, can you imagine being born back in the 1800s and, man.
Well, I mean, think about the first computer,
Yeah.
vacuum tubes.
Well, hey, 1860, what kind of technology would we have had? Can you think of anything? Technology. What would
We didn't even have electricity back then.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think I
It would have been
forget.
mechanical, whatever it was. We had the Gatling gun.
I forget the department that does the patents. It seemed like around 1900 or somewhere in there, the guy made a statement that said everything that can be invented has already been invented.
Yeah.
They're going to close the patent office. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That was before the vacuum tube. Before. Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we've got one more. We got another segment that Alan here is going to talk about. Let's get that over with real quick, and then we'll jump into something else. And I'll introduce you to the new guest we've got that's in the studio here with us tonight. We're going to show you somebody, and all of you know him, but you probably don't know much. Go ahead, Alan. Let's move right on.
Okay, so let me go back and share the screen with sound again here. So for those that were looking along, if you want to go back and watch this video again, it's my video number 314. But the other one we're going to talk about, because it's a conversation that we had, I think even a little bit last week in the after show, was the effects of adding or taking away transmission line length between your antenna and your transmitter. And so this video talks a bit about that. It kind of talks a little bit about it on the Smith chart as well, but then also illustrates what's going on the VNA. So let's play this one here.
In this video, we're going to take a look at what happens when we add transmission line between a transmitter and an antenna. I'll give you the answer very quickly, and then we'll actually go look at why, and actually go make some measurements and show it. But the quick three-part answer is that the SWR does not change as you add or subtract transmission line length between your transmitter and the antenna. And of course, this is assuming that the line is not part of the antenna. And many times that's not the case. Oftentimes the shield of the coax becomes part of the counterpoise system for the antenna, so changing the line length may have some effect on SWR, but if the line is completely not part of the antenna, the SWR will not change. We'll show you.
The other thing I should mention here too, this also makes the assumption that the line is lossless, which is not always the case either, because you could see a change in SWR if there was some loss in the line. But I didn't mention that here, but here we go.
Show you why in a moment. However, the impedance looking into the line does change as you change the line length. So you could say, how does the impedance change without the SWR change? Well, we'll take a look at this on the Smith chart, the perfect tool to look at this, and we'll show you why. Now, the other thing that people get surprised at is that the apparent resonant frequencies of the antenna can move around as you add or subtract line length. And of course, that's assuming that the resonant point is not at the perfect center of the Smith chart right at 50 ohms. Now remember that resonance is only defined as when the impedance is purely resistive. There's no reactive component. So that could appear, it could be 40 ohm resistive, 55 ohm resistive, 100 ohm resistive, etc. All those are resonant points. But also it's important to remember that the resonant point is not always where you have the lowest SWR. So don't confuse the lowest SWR or the minimum in the SWR as being the resonant point of the antenna, because that's not always the case. Now here's a simple plot of, say, a fictitious antenna with some starting line length, and plotting the impedance on a Smith chart from low frequency to high frequency. And I've just highlighted 3 points on that chart. So let's take a look at the impedance looking into the end of a line after we add about 1/10 of a wavelength of transmission line. Now our assumptions here that we're dealing with lossless line and that the line is not a significant part of the antenna. When we add or subtract transmission line, we're effectively rotating impedance around the center of the Smith chart, assuming that the center of the Smith chart is equal to ZU0, or the characteristic impedance of the line. So if we take our original 3 points and this curve of our original sweep of the antenna, we essentially can draw these imaginary circles centered at the Z0 point for each of those points. These circles are known as constant SWR circles. As we add or subtract line length, the impedance represented by any point on the curve rotates around its own constant SWR circle. When we add line length, we rotate clockwise. We subtract line length, we rotate counterclockwise. The outer axes of the Smith chart are actually calibrated in length of line in wavelengths. You can see there they both show 0.25 over here. This one here is decreasing. This one here is increasing. At this end of the chart, we see they're both at 0. What this indicates is one complete trip around the Smith chart is equal to a half a wavelength in line. So what that means is that if you use a transmission line that's exactly a half wavelength long at your operating frequency, the impedance looking into the line is exactly the same as the impedance looking into the antenna directly. At any other line length that is not an even half wavelength multiple, you're going to have an impedance that is not the same as the impedance looking into the line. But as we mentioned, the SWR does not change because we're simply rotating around these constant SWR circles. So let's take our example of adding 1/10 of a wavelength to the line length. So we start with point A, we can bring that out to the outer axis, add 1/10 of a wavelength to, we see we're a little bit past 0.22, we'll rotate down to a little bit past 0.32, and that's our new point where the impedance at that frequency looking into the transmission line. We do the same thing for point B. We rotate about 1/10 of a wavelength out this way, and that's our new point for B, and do the same thing for point C and pick our new point for C. Now you noticed each time I said we're rotating about 1/10 of a wavelength, and the reason for that is that that transmission line is only going to be 1/10 of a wavelength at one frequency. Let's say it was at frequency for A. When we go up to frequency B, the higher frequency means a shorter wavelength, so that fixed line length is going to be electrically a little bit longer than 1/10. We go up again to a higher frequency C, that line length is going to be a little bit longer again than 1/10. So the effect is the curve rotates around and stretches slightly because we're going to be the higher frequencies are going to rotate further around the chart. So you do get a slight change in the shape of the curve just because the line length in terms of the number of wavelengths changes with frequency as well. And again, this is assuming a lossless transmission line. If there were losses, these circles actually start to spiral inwards, and also assumes that, again, that the line is not a significant part of the antenna. So let's go take a look at this with a VNA and see what we're talking about. So here's our starting point. I've got a 20-meter vertical antenna hooked up through a piece of coax to the VNA. We can see the SWR plot here, minimum SWR at about 14.245 megahertz, and then this is our curve of the complex impedance of that antenna, sweeping from 13.7 to 14.7 megahertz. Now in my case here, the coax shield is a small portion of the counterpoise for the antenna, so you may notice a small shift in the lowest SWR point as we start adding coax length. Now I've added about 36 inches or just under 1 meter of RG8X coax, which at 14.2 megahertz represents about 0.056 wavelengths of line length. So you notice that our whole curve has rotated slightly clockwise around the center of the Smith chart. You'll also notice that we actually cross the center axis of the Smith chart twice. There's actually 2 resonant points. And again, resonance doesn't mean minimum SWR. Resonance just means that we have no reactance. I've just added a second 36-inch or about 1 meter long length of line, and we can see we've rotated that curve a little bit further. And again, our SWR curve has not changed. Now this is after adding another 36-inch length of coax, and we've rotated our curve a little bit further. Again, you'll notice there's a slight change in the shape of this curve because the line length in terms of number of wavelengths is a little different for each of the frequencies along this curve. But you also notice again that the SWR plot really has not changed. So let's play each of those 4 scenarios out in unison. I'll just merge from one to the other and you can visualize how this curve is rotating around. This was our starting point. This is after adding one section of 36-inch line or about 1 meter of line length. This is with an additional 6 feet or just under 2 meters of additional coax. Now this is after adding another 36-inch length. So I hope this video has taught you a little bit about what happens when you add or subtract line length between a transmitter and an antenna. Now of course, if the antenna is perfectly matched to the transmission line, meaning its impedance equals the transmission line impedance, then the line length doesn't matter a bit. But if the antenna is not a perfect 50 ohms, it's somewhere else in complex impedance, the impedance looking into that line will change with line length, but the SWR will not, provided that the line itself is not part of the antenna system. So again, I hope you learned something. If you liked the video.
Alrighty. So kind of interesting topic. One question I just see from Earl is, what is the optimum length of coax? And the answer is probably the shortest that you need to get from your transmitter to your antenna, because that's going to minimize loss. Assuming again that the coax itself is not intended to be a part of the antenna, but just purely as a transmission line. So you just want to make it as short as possible to minimize loss. One of the magic frequency or magical lengths, if you will, is to have it to be an even multiple of half wavelengths, or I should say a multiple of half wavelengths, right? So it's a half wavelength long, or 1 wavelength long, or 1.5 wavelengths long. In that particular case, at that particular frequency, the impedance looking into the coax will equal the impedance looking into the antenna. At all other lengths, you're going to be somewhere else in impedance, but the SWR is still the same, okay? And what you may find sometimes is that some tuners, whether they're automatic tuners that are built into the radio or a separate automatic tuner, it might be rated to be able to tune up to a 3-to-1 SWR, right? But it may have it might do better if if that impedance is not very inductive or very capacitive. Basically, it might do better at certain portions of that constant SWR circle than others. So by adding or subtracting a length of coax, you may rotate around, change the complex impedance without changing the SWR to a point where the tuner has an easier job of making the adjustment. So sometimes adding or subtracting line length can actually aid in tuner operation, even though it isn't really changing the SWR. So it's just changing the impedance that's being seen. Because the reality is that for any given SWR, there's an infinite combination of complex impedance, resistive and reactive components that can result in that same SWR. But not all tuners are created equal in being able to equally tune from a given impedance on that circle to your perfect 50 ohm point. So that's usually one of the things that people say, well, you always want it to be a quarter wavelength long, or an odd quarter wavelength, or an even quarter wavelength, or a half wavelength long. And all that really does is ensures that you're maybe mirroring the antenna impedance at at the transmitter end, but that doesn't necessarily make it better or worse. It just makes it just kind of describes that fact. Now, the nice thing is that if you use a half wavelength long and actually measure the impedance, at the transmit point, then that's the same impedance that you see at the antenna. So if you design a matching network and you're placing that matching network at the antenna, then the feed line will have an ideal, close to 1-to-1 SWR, minimize losses. So it's kind of a handy thing from that standpoint if you're going to design a matching network and place it at the antenna feed point. So anyway, I hope that's kind of a long answer to your short question, but hopefully that helps out a little bit.
I think you mentioned in there that maximum power might not be at minimum SWR. Is that right?
Well, what I mentioned is that the minimum SWR isn't always at the resonant point. Mm. Okay, so because again, all that resonance means is that the reactance goes to zero. So as I said, we saw in that case, there was at one length of line, the SWR or the curve on the Smith chart crossed through the x-axis, right? The center diameter, if you will, of the Smith chart is actually the point that is zero reactance, that center point within the Smith chart. So any point along that is a resonant point because you have no reactance, no capacitive or inductive component. But that resonant point isn't always where the SWR is minimum, right? The SWR is minimum wherever the curve on the Smith chart gets closest to the center of the chart. So minimum SWR and resonance don't always occur at the same time. In fact, most of the times they don't.
Well, maybe here one day we can talk about that question that I said, max power, minimum SWR, and so forth. I'm going to be ordering me, I think, a RF amp meter. Mm-hmm. I want to put an RF amp meter in the my line here, right past my SWR meter, and I want to start using it and tuning it and see how it compares with the SWR. I think there's going to be a little bit of difference there. I'm not sure what causes it. There's so many things that you explained. There's so many things that can cause things to look different.
Oftentimes the coax, even unintended, maybe the shield will be a little bit part of the counterpoise or something like that. So by changing the coax length, you are going to change SWR because you're changing the effective antenna system. But in cases where the ideal case where the feed line is not a part of the antenna, then the SWR is not going to be a function of line length. So, but if it is, then other things, the dressing of the coax, where it goes, what it goes near, might also affect the lowest SWR. So a lot of other issues can pop up when you see that. And sometimes the easiest way to tell whether the coax shield, for example, is part of the counterpoise system or is becoming part of the antenna is to make a measurement and simply go grab the coax with your hands and make the measurement again. If the measurement changes, then the likelihood is that you do have some shield current flowing on the outside of the shield that's becoming part of the antenna system.
All right. Well, look, let's take a quick break here, and if people have questions, they can communicate with you in the chat room, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
All right.
Didn't get everything on your holiday list? Now is the time to spice up your ham shack with ICOM's new ID52A handheld. This radio is perfect for staying in or venturing out. The ID52A is now shipping. ICOM's newest handheld amateur radio is a VHF-UHF dual bander with D-Star and FM dual mode functions. This radio supports conventional FM communications and D-Star simplex and worldwide calls over the D-Star Internet Gateway. The ID52A is the first handheld amateur radio with a full-color 2.3-inch waterfall display and the ability to send photos over D-Star with a connected Android phone. Features include a wideband receiver with guaranteed range of 144 through 148 and 440 through 450 megahertz. It has an integrated GPS receiver, including grid square location. It also has a micro USB for data transfer, programming, and charging. And it's IPX7 waterproof. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast, proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
All right, and we are back. And I want you to meet, probably many of you guys know this person. Come on in here, person, and say hello to everybody. So probably everyone knows Hambot. Hambot's been with us a long time. I don't know how long Hambot's been with us, maybe 6 or 7 years. It's been a long time. Hambot started with us when Hambot was really young and like a little kid, and he just stuck with us, and he started learning about the show, and he took on more and more and more responsibility. And we're going to talk a little tonight. We're going to give you a little demo of what Hambot is and what Hambot can do. And then Hambot's going to give out a prize to somebody on the show here tonight. So let's see. I'm trying to think how to get this started here. Let me just mention that Hambot has really, well, hey, let me step back a minute. I wanted to make just a quick announcement, and I didn't make it while ago. I wish I'd made it before we started here. Hey, everybody, welcome Bill back. Bill Brown, W-B-A-E-L-K. Bill's in the chat room tonight. Bill's been up in Ohio with his father for the last couple months. His dad recently passed away last week, and Bill is attending to everything up there, and he will be coming home here soon. So just want to say welcome back, Bill. We're glad to have you back, and sorry to hear the news about your dad up there. 93 years old, and he was a ham. He's actually been on his show before, and we've talked to him here. A veteran and a ham, and a great guy, and that was Bill's dad. All right, let's get back to Hambot here real quick, and let's talk a little about Hambot. We're going to demo Hambot and tell you what it's going to do. Let me see if I can bring Hambot into the screen here. Well, all right, I got to find... the camera shot for Hambot. I will find it. Everybody just stick with me for a minute. Kathy, will you go ahead and bring Hambot up on the screen? Is it up? Okay, I'm looking for it here. I don't see it. I'll find it. Actually, maybe I'm not. Okay, let me check and make sure. Let me make sure that Hambot, everything is running over here. All right, I just let me check one more thing here. We'll see if we can get Hambot running here. I've got so many different camera shots here. It's interesting. You see what Hambot looks like? Okay, I got it. Guys, stand by. We will. Oh, here it is, right here. Here he is, right here. Okay, so what you're looking at here is software that was developed in-house by some of our team members here, and one of our admins, and has done a great job with Hambot. And Kathy is across the room there with Hambot, and she's going to kind of go through some of the steps and let you see what Hambot can do here. This program actually does the work of about 4 people. We really could not work in our environment today without Hambot, especially when we give out prizes at places like Hamvention, where we might give out about $10,000 in prizes. And I mean, it is nonstop give out prizes and call names. And you can imagine if you're having to do all this on paper and record people's names that win and so forth, and the time, it's amazing what he does. So where are we going to start, Kathy? Where are we going to start? You want to help us here get started?
Sure. Once Tom solicits prizes from the donors, we have to put them on the web page, and then we also have to put them in Hambot. There's a way that I can go into the prize sheet, and I can list a prize here. You can see where I can put the donor. If there's shipping restrictions, I can note it there, and the description of the prize. And so I add all of the prizes there. Then when I get through with the prizes and we're ready to award a prize, we go to this screen. And this screen tells me all of the people that are logged into the chat room. And of course, to be eligible for prize, you've got to be logged into the chat room. This is some of the chat contents that I can read. And when I get ready to do a prize, I'm going to press Start Prizes. And this is just to let everybody know we're getting ready to start a prize. And we would like for people to refrain from chatting while we're doing a prize. And the reason is that it's hard for people to see if the prize is been awarded or if we're still waiting. So if people would just, stay quiet during the chat, we would appreciate it.
So, Kathy, let me ask the question. Is Hambot connected to IRC right now?
Yes, Hambot is connected.
So, okay, I'm seeing in the chat room where Hambot said it's time for a prize or whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. Go right ahead. You're doing it great.
Okay, so then once the chat room is quiet, we're going to pick a prize. So I'll go over here, and I'll click on a demo prize. And on this prize, we're going to go ahead and try to award it. But Tom would like for everyone to just not accept it. He wants everybody to see what's going to happen if no one claims it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on Pick a Winner.
All right, now,
Okay.
Whoever we pick, do not, please, if you're listening, do not claim the prize. This is a fake prize. Do not claim it. We want to demo here how Hambot is going to count down, and he's going to keep reminding you that you won, and then at the end of the countdown, he's going to say you didn't win. So please do not answer Hambot, but go ahead, Hambot.
Okay, this is the winner up here. You can see where my cursor is.
Oh, that's
so
Mike.
Once that comes up, I start the countdown, and we have 60 seconds in the countdown. And Hambot will announce the winner's name and tell them to respond in the chat room. All you have to do is just say here, anything.
And Hambot is going to remind you about every 5 or 10 seconds that he's looking for you. Oh, Mike said he's here. Okay, that's all right.
Okay. All right, so we have a winner there. And when there's a winner, I can click on winner information. And because Mike is a ham, his information is extracted from QRZ. I have Mike's address here. I have the date and the time that he won the prize. And this is where the prize is going to be sent to. In this case, the street address did not come through right here. But we will look it up, and I like to confirm it also. So that's why over here in the chat room, it tells you that you need to send a private message to Kathy listing the name of the prize, the call, mailing address, and email address. And if you would just stay logged in until I acknowledge that I've gotten your information, that would be great. Okay, so that's the winner on that one. We're going to do another one.
All right, we're going to do another prize. You can let this one run out. Just don't accept it. If you're hearing me, don't accept it. But if you do, it's okay.
Okay.
Don't
let's
accept it. Don't say nothing. Don't type. Just
Yeah,
sit
but
there and
it's,
let it happen.
if you do, you do. You know, that's not a big deal.
Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick the winner. Okay, here's the winner up here in this corner. And I'm going to start the countdown. And this is great that we've got the time here because this is the official. A lot of times there's a lag between the audio and the video, but this is the official right here.
Yeah, one of the things that Kathy said there that I want to emphasize is because there's upwards of a 20 or 30-second delay on the video versus the chat room, everything is measured by the chat room. The start time, the end time, everything is in the chat room because it's the most real time. We don't use the video. And, people used to argue with us all the time. Hey, I got in, or, there was a delay, I couldn't get in. And they would argue with me, and I would always give in and give them the prize. Well, that doesn't happen anymore because now you have to argue with Hambot, and you cannot win the argument with Hambot. So we're down to a couple seconds. Hambot's going to say that, sorry, KC3SIN did not win or did not respond in time, and so Hambot's going to draw another name. Hambot, why don't you go ahead and draw another name and let somebody claim it this time? You can claim it this time. Wait, you don't have another one? Yeah, you can do that one again because no one claimed it. So here we go. We got 60 seconds, and we're looking for WA4YYM. That's Papa Doc. That's Papa Doc over in Tennessee. Let's see if Papa Doc is listening there.
You notice that even on the free trials, I still don't win?
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know if Papa Doc is paying attention. WA4YYM. And see, but with me announcing it here, it's not in sync with the chat room. The chat room is the boss here. Okay.
Yeah, there he is. He got it.
Okay, Don claimed it. So once you claim it, Hambot knows you claimed it. Now, think of this: when we're up at Dayton, and we've had thousands of people in the chat room over the days we were up there, and we ask people to, when we're giving prizes, we ask people not to chat, to be quiet, and most people either they don't pay attention, or maybe they come in late and they don't hear the announcement. So you've got the chat room buzzing. You've got thousands of people in the chat room is buzzing, and we're trying to give away a prize. And what happens is your eye is not quick enough to see if a person claims a prize. He's in the middle of hundreds of lines, and it's going fast. But Hambot knows if you hit the enter key, Hambot knows that you're there and can pick you out. So that's another great advantage of Hambot. All right, what else we going to show here? We got a database. We got the database in here where we can put the prize. We do put the prizes in ahead of time, and some vendors say they want the prizes for U.S. only. Some vendors say we can do them internationally. So the database actually is marked U.S. only or international, and it knows when it picks a name. Pretty much, it's pretty good at narrowing it down to the right people. Just in case we get someone by accident that is not in the U.S. or international, we try to let everybody know up front that this prize would be for U.S. only. Now, we do have some international people that do win a U.S. prize, and that is if they have a U.S. address. If they have a U.S. address, we don't mind giving that prize to them because the vendor or the donor there is going to pay the same for shipping. What else we got?
Also, there's a duplicate finder. Sometimes people will log in maybe on a phone, a laptop, and a desktop and try to have an advantage. But there's a way that this program will check for duplicates. Let me see if there's a duplicate in there tonight. Yeah, all the guests are in there as duplicates. There's nothing we can do about that. But if I see someone like Tom, I can put a check mark on it and say exclude Tom from winning something.
Now, Kathy and I are already excluded in the software.
Yes.
We cannot win a prize when we give it out. Hambot knows not to give it to us. We do allow our admins out there to receive or be eligible to receive a prize. They work really hard for us, and they get nothing in return. And occasionally they win a prize. Let's see.
I want to show something else.
To claim a prize, Hambot just says, "Are you here?" And to claim a prize, all you have to do is say "here" or hit a period. If you type anything and hit the enter key, Hambot will see you and know that you're there. And if you do that within 60 seconds, you will be awarded the prize. And we're going to give away a real prize tonight in just a couple minutes.
Also, there's a way that that I can tell the winner that I didn't receive any information from them. I can highlight the name and then tell them that I need information. Well, here it is. These are the two people that won the first two prizes, Don and Mike.
So Hambot has sent a message to Don and Mike there saying, please send a private message confirming to Kathy.
Yes. Now, Hambot did not send the message out to them. He put it in the chat room. Hambot cannot accept or send private messages.
You know, we had, and it's really important that we make sure we know where to send the prize to. I had a person win a prize one time, no address, and it took me about a month and a half to run him down. I found him at a TV station in Colorado Springs, but I did a lot of searching on the internet. And guys, let me tell you, when you give out as many prizes as we do, like at Hamvention or something, this is real time consuming, and just the task of getting prizes donated, contacting all the vendors and getting about 20 or 30, 40 prizes donated takes days. It takes a lot of days, and then we have to put all those prizes into our web page. That takes some time. Kathy has to get them all into Hambot. That takes time. Hambot does an amazing job of picking names and counting the time and rejecting people and sorting people from international to domestic to all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, when we come home from Hamvention, for example, we have about 3 more days of work, because then we have to notify every vendor out there of what prize that you won and arrange for them to send it to you. Now, I don't want to be a middleman, so I've arranged it where prizes do not come to me. Occasionally, 1 prize or 2 prizes may be sent to me, and I wish they were not, because then I have to turn around and pay the shipping and ship them out to someone. Our arrangements with the vendors are, I'll provide you the winners' names and you ship, and that way it keeps me out of the middle, and I don't have any extra ham gear to play with.
And they can get it quicker also.
They can get it quicker. All right, what else can Hambot? There's a lot more things Hambot can do here that we're probably not going to mention here.
Yeah. Hambot will also create a spreadsheet for me. I can download it in a CVS format and use that. So that's been very helpful as well. We didn't used to have that in the beginning, so that's been a big addition.
All right.
Are we going to give away a prize tonight?
Yeah, we will in just a minute. So, hey, let's have Hambot run his little thing and say we're going to give a prize away. And then, okay, guys, so we're fixing to do a real prize, so get ready to claim it. Watch for Hambot to call your name. All you have to do is say here or a period and enter. Just say something. So we're getting ready to do it. Everybody just try not to talk much while Hambot is looking for the winner. We appreciate that. So Hambot's going to give a prize away. All right. So let's see. Oh boy, I lost my place again. There we go. All right, we're back. Okay, Hambot. Should we?
You've got an echo.
I got the echo here. All right, so Hambot is going to try to pick a person here. We're going to leave the screen up, or do we want to take the screen off?
No, you can leave it up.
We're not going to show any trade secrets, are we?
No.
Okay, we're going to leave the screen up, and we're going to run through here, and Hambot's going to pick somebody.
Are you going to show them the prize?
Oh, yeah, I will. We're gonna show the prize, and then Hambot is going to pick somebody. Here we go, guys. This is a multimeter. Man, this is like a, I don't know, 7-function multimeter, digital multimeter. You recognize this? This is Harbor Freight. This is some good stuff, man. You can throw this in your trunk of your car. Don't worry about hurting it. Just throw it in the trunk of your car, and you'll always have it there. And we'll ship this out to the winner here. We'll try to get it in the mail tomorrow. And let's see. We're going to make this a U.S. only, I think, right?
And those things are pretty good.
Did we make this a U.S. only?
Well, let's check.
We're going to check and see if we made it a U.S. only.
Yes.
Because I don't want to pay the shipping on this to Iran or somewhere,
Yeah, it's set up for U.S. only.
All right, so we're set up for U.S. only. So Hambot, go ahead and let's pick
that
a winner.
Means that Charlie can't win.
Well, yeah, poor Charlie.
But those are actually fairly accurate. I matched it up with my Fluke, and it was dead on.
Yep, I compared my Fluke with it.
Maybe inexpensive, but it's quite good.
All right, so Hambot announced that it's time for a prize. Let's see what happens here. And it looks like he's picked. He's picked, looks like N7 XGR. I know him. That's Bruce. Look at there. He claimed it. He claimed it in record time. He just put his call letters in there. Hambot recognized that Bruce is there. And congratulations, you're the winner. And hey, man, all I can say is congratulations. So,
Very cool.
Wow, that was a fast claim. We've had some people, I don't know, we've had some people that actually claim the prize like within a millisecond. As soon as Hambot announces it, man, it's like a millisecond. And you know what? We can give something away like a $500 Comet antenna analyzer, and we may have to go through 5 or 6 people before we get a winner because people are just, they don't answer. I don't know.
They may not want the prize also.
Well, I think I'd want that prize. Yeah. But hey, guys, if you ever are offered a prize on here, and if it's a prize you don't want or you already have it, try to let us know before we do the prize. That way it stays in our queue here, and we can just have Hambot pick another name. So,
or if Hambot calls their name, they just don't respond.
Don't respond. Don't respond. That's what to do, because when you respond, it takes Hambot out of the available prizes and puts it into a not available prize. And then if you don't want it, then it's work for us to put it back over in. So you can see Hambot is an amazing guy here. Hambot is doing a lot of work. Is there anything else that we want to mention about Hambot? Hambot has been in the works probably, I don't know, 6, 7 years, maybe 8 years. I don't know. Time flies, but
you had him ever since I've known you.
Hambot he has grown, and it's been a constant development of Hambot over those years, and one of the main player in helping develop, or I would say our main developer in Hambot is Tim, and Tim's in Zoom here. I don't think he has a camera, but Tim's in Zoom. Tim, is there anything we missed to talk about Hambot here? You may be muted, Tim. And Tim may not be listening.
Oh, I wanted to mention one more thing. Someone who won a prize tonight, that N7XGR.
That's Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce won a prize, and he sent a message in the chat room saying, my address is good in QRZ. We no longer use QRZ addresses. We have found that a lot of people don't keep those updated. But it does help me. I can cross-reference that if I have other information. So instead of just telling me your address is good in QRZ, send a private message to me. Now, I'm not logged in tonight because we're not at an event. But if I were logged in, you would see my name in the chat room just like everyone else, and you could send me a private message.
I didn't think about that, but there are many addresses on QRZ that are the wrong address. People might not update it and so forth. So it is good to confirm the address, even though we have one. If we don't hear from you, we may send it. We may send it there, and oh man. So we try our best to get it out to you. And we'll get them out pretty quick after that. What else we got there, Hambot? Anything else we're missing?
Oh, there's a lot of things it'll do. I haven't talked about everything, but this is the main things that that people are interested in. And we've had people like Teresa and Glenn and Katie. A lot of the people have actually seen Hambot in motion, and they've been really amazed at it.
Yeah.
We actually had the astronaut, Doug Wheelock. He helped give away some prizes.
Yeah, I think Doug was kind of intrigued with it, and also some of the vendors that are actually with us that have donated prizes. We'll have them sit down with us and watch Hambot go through the steps as we give their prize away. So there you go, guys. That's Hambot. Tim, are you there? Did you wake up, Tim?
Yeah, I think I finally got it.
All right, man. Well, hey, man, we showing off some of your work here, man, and you've done a great job here with Hambot, and we really appreciate all the work and all the help that you've been with us all these years. And I think anybody looking at this software package here is kind of overwhelmed or amazed at all the things we do. And we probably didn't hit on about 20% of all the things that he does. It's been great, man. And like I say, it does the work for about 3 or 4 people. I used to pull my hair out before we had this, and I was at Dayton or somewhere trying to get prizes away. I was pulling my hair out, man, trying to write this stuff down on paper and everything. Wow. All right.
Well, I'm just glad it worked out for you.
What was that, Tim?
I said I'm just glad that it worked out.
Yeah, I am too. And it seems like every year, Hambot, as Hambot ages, he gets a little better and he looks a little better. And I think we are the only podcast people that have anything of this magnitude here to give. I'm on YouTube. You can get a random name picker. Or, we tried that once, a random name picker, and you can pick a name, but nobody has what Hambot does, and we are so proud of Hambot. Yep. All right. Well, hey, I see Bill's in here. Bill, welcome back, man. We're glad to have you. I guess you're still up in Ohio, aren't you, Bill?
Yeah, I sure am. For another few days, and coming back this weekend. I'm just going through my dad's World War II radio man. He's a radio man in the Navy in World War II. I just found this. I wonder why.
One second. I don't know why it's stuck on Alan here. We're talking, but it's not changing.
But it's not going to me. Yeah, there you go.
Did it go?
Yeah. Well, so all his World War II memorabilia are in a cigar box. That's what you store stuff in for long-term storage, particularly electronics things. I just found this.
What is it?
It's a receipt, 1945, for perfume. Must have been a hot date.
Oh, man.
But this is the coolest thing. He did... He was a teletype operator, in addition to CW. And this is a Baudot tape.
Yeah.
And
hold it. Now, I'm looking at you on the little picture. You still have not got to the big picture yet. Now, is that Baudot? Yeah. Is that 5-level?
5-level Baudot. Okay. It's got a letters command. Everything after the letters figure. The letters command is a letter. Then there's a figures command. And everything after that is a number or special character. So that's how they did it. And so this runs through the teletype machine and sends it out.
Well, Bill, I cut my teeth.
This is a long message. I thought this was going to be, a secret code for the Manhattan Project. Yeah. So I hand decoded this the other night.
Oh, wow.
Letter by letter, number by number.
Yeah.
Each one of these 5. Each row is
one
a
character. Yep. Yeah.
And you can find how to decode these on the internet. But each one of these is a letter or a command for a letter, or a shift or carriage return. And so this long tape, I decoded part of it. It says KP duty at the Officers Club at 9 p.m.
Oh.
And then it said, now is the time to come for all good men to come to the aid of their country.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a test that we did, Bill. I cut my teeth. I cut my teeth on it. You know, when I went in the Air Force in 1969, they made me a teletype repairman. So I cut my teeth on that, and I can tell you right now, I can read 2 letters on that right near. The 2 and a 4 is an R.
Yeah.
You know, 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, and 5 is a Y. And that's what we would use to test a teletype machine. R-Y.
Yeah.
And then the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog's back, you know.
So, anyways, this, I haven't gone past now is the time to come for all good men to come to the aid of their country, because I figured after that, that's where the secret, of where.
Yeah, that's where the nuclear launch codes are.
That's where the codes are, right after that message. So I'm going to get to that later tonight and decode and it's probably going to tell us where the Roswell aliens are stored.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it might, man. It might do it. All right.
But back in the day for hams, those of us that did RTTY, having a punch was, that was the height of that was on top of the mountain. You were the big dog if you had a punch and a reader.
We had one at Ohio State when I was in college there at W8LT. We were in the bell tower of the Ohio State football stadium. We had a 600-foot long wire that went, and it was 120 feet above the ground, and went over to the smokestack of the power plant next to the stadium. And boy, we would get out. So I had a BC 610. Ever see one of those big amplifiers?
Yeah.
You fire that up, but we didn't need any heaters in the ham shack at the Ohio State Club. We just turned that thing on, and it would heat up the ham shack pretty quick. But we ran teletype model 19, and we had the tape. We would send pictures through ASCII characters, which is now a lost art. But then we used tape like this. We had a little tape punch, and we'd run our pictures through this tape machine. So. Those are the fun. And if anybody wants a couple of rolls of Western Union teletype paper, probably from World War II, I have a couple of rolls of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Bill, when I got out of the Air Force, I was home 3 days, and in the paper under jobs wanted or jobs, there was a job for teletype repairman. It was Western Union. And I went to work for Western Union in Memphis. And it was a union, for sure, because after 1 year, the union didn't... I was low man on a totem pole, So, but anyway, I used to have a lot of that tape and stuff, too, that you're talking about. In fact, we had some... It was probably before my time, and we were phasing it out, but Western Union had some fax machines. They had a little drum, a little roller on them. Yeah. And I got a bunch of those. I got a pickup truckload of those, and I traded them. To a ham friend here for my first 2-meter radio.
Very neat.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad to have you back, Bill. And
I've been up in Ohio now for 2 months, going through all the stuff in Dad's barn and his house, and now I have to do the apartment.
I know it's a big job there.
But I found his World War II Navy uniform still packed in a duffel bag, neatly wrapped up and everything.
Well,
so there were a lot of prizes in there. Really, a lot of neat stuff.
I've got a duffel bag with my stuff in it. Of course, it's 50 years old. It ain't far past World War II, but. No moths have got in there yet, so hopefully his uniform is in good shape.
It was, actually. We have his dress uniform and Navy hats, and the little insignia that they put on, the little anchor, and so it was a lot of cool stuff we found.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to put...
I found a bunch of color computers, the Coco 1, 2, and 3. I had all those in the barn. Then I have a Apple II with gaming station and 2 disk drives. Joysticks, all specially modified for games. That one I got from Steve Jobs directly when I was out there because I knew Steve Jobs. And that was a really cool find.
Yeah.
I didn't find his signature, though. Somewhere I have a manual, Apple II manual with Steve Jobs' signature on it.
All right.
One of those sold recently for a couple $100,000.
Is that right?
I mean,
That was the price I was really looking for.
Oh, man.
But I didn't find it.
All right. Here's old Charlie joined us here.
Hi, Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie,
Hi.
how are things down in Uruguay?
It's raining. It rained last night. The night before last night, it flooded a big part of the city. It rained like the amount it rains in 1.5 months in one night. So it rained a lot.
All right.
After a very dry couple of months that were really, really worrying for the agriculture, and it finally rained, but it rained all at once. So I don't know. It didn't affect me, but many people in the city got affected by the floods too. So I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But nothing to worry. It's not worse
All right.
things happen.
All right. Well, I don't know who broke my Zoom, but I can't get it to go full screen here anymore. So probably something.
Are you on high ground there, Charlie? Or are you on?
Yes, pretty high. There were some problems with the drain of. It's a 5-story building, and in the first floor, we call it first floor is it's not the base. It's not the base. It's
The first
second floor for you, I think.
Yeah, it's our
first
second.
floor for you is when at street level, right?
Ground floor.
So-
You have ground floor and then floor 1.
Floor 1, yeah. There were some problems with the rain drain there, so some water got into a couple of houses, but the rest of the building nothing. And street wise, there is the street goes has a it's not flat, has a pendiente. How do you call it? It's in
Yeah.
goes down.
Well, I don't know.
So
We
How-
have
You know,
On
hey,
top
I
of,
for-
I
I
live
forgot
on
to
top of
announce.
the
I
mountain.
forgot to announce that we're now going to the show is over, guys, but we're going
Oh.
to the show after the show. So this is the show after the show right now. So this is a new show, and we talk about just about anything.
Yeah, Charlie, we had that problem back in August when the remnants of Hurricane Ida came through here, and we had about 10 inches or about 25 centimeters of rain in about 8 hours, and then it caused all kinds of flooding here. I mean, within about a half a block from my house.
So I
remember. Yes, I remember the images you showed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I chose a mountain to live on for 2 reasons. One, it's great for RF, and 2, everything flows downhill from my place, so I don't have to worry about flooding.
Yeah, not
I live
too
on
many mountains in central New Jersey.
I live on a small hill, so I've got enough time to build my own ark if I need to.
There you go. But it's kind of like having a 500-foot tall antenna.
Oh, yeah.
Great, I'm right on the edge of a cliff, and my tower is only 10 foot tall, but it's really 510 foot tall. So it's easy to work on the antennas, and I still get out great. I can actually talk to Memphis from my location, 230 miles away, just about any time on 2-meter sideband.
I was just going to say, yeah, at that altitude, and it's all flat from there to here.
Yeah, I got a great shot towards Memphis. They used to have a 2-meter sideband net that sometimes it was the net control was from Memphis, and I could hear them here easily.
Yeah, I always keep wanting to play on 2 and 6 meters and just don't have the time. I'm like, hurry up and retire so I'll have some time. We just had I had basically a 3-day weekend and went back to work today. And as I'm getting out to the car, I'm sitting here thinking, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Glenn, when I was semi-retired when I got the call from NASA, and so I went in for the interview, and they asked me, "Your retirement age, how long do you plan to work? We want somebody to work for the full duration of the moon program." And so I said, "Well, I plan to retire on Mars, and working here is the way to make that happen."
Mm.
That's cool.
I think that's why they hired me.
All right, folks, I need to jump out. I need to go walk the dog
Okay.
and get up for work in the morning. So good to see everybody. And
Yeah.
Bye, Alan.
hopefully we'll make it in next week. Take care.
We'll see you.
Take
See you,
care.
man. Thanks. Good night. Well, Bill, I don't know if you saw, we launched an SBS balloon here about a week ago, and just like the two before it, man, it disappeared at 42,000. That's all I can say.
Now, where was it? Over north central Mississippi when it came down?
Yeah.
So you didn't get any reading. You didn't get any readings after it hit?
Nope. Nope. It was. I knew right when it was starting to super pressure. We were just hitting about 42, and then hey, never heard from it again. Never.
That's probably came down pretty fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. Terminal velocity, I'm sure, man. 172 feet per second. It would hit the ground in 245 seconds. And that's only about 4 minutes, man. We only send a report every 10, so.
Right.
Gee. So anyway, we're gonna go. Hey, I need to join Balloon Anonymous. I mean, yeah, I'm looking for a place around here close where I can go, because each time I say I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. And then after it disappears.
A week later, he's doing it again.
After it disappears, I say, okay, I'm not going to let that demon up there at 42 mess me up. In fact, I've got another one almost built right now. I had to wait on another GPS module and an oscillator, but I would think.
How many more chips do you have, Tom?
Well, I don't know. I just got in 15 GPS chips.
Well, I mean, the CPU chips.
The CPU, I probably have
chips.
I probably have 15. Let's see.
Well,
Let's see what we got.
They're gold.
Yeah, you're going to have to use up those 15 before you can try to quit again.
Well, you know what?
You use up those 15, and then you'll have to quit.
Well, I finally got some in after waiting about 3 or 4 months. I actually ran out of them, and I'm trying to add people here. Let's see. Mute. Let's see.
When I looked earlier, they said March would be the first delivery date for those.
I got some in about 3 weeks ago. I got about
Oh, you did?
10 or 15 in about 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
I have to check DigiKey. Did you get them from DigiKey or Etsy?
No, I got it. They came from AliExpress.
AliExpress.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So hey, Bill, when you get back, I want to talk to you. I've got some is it ATGM or AGTM 336Hs?
That's the inexpensive.
Yeah.
GPS.
That's the GPS, and Michael and some of them are telling me that it's an exact drop-in. It's the same footprint, same drop-in.
Pretty much.
And they're only about $8 a piece versus about $22 $2 a
Well,
piece?
I just got through surplus. I got 100 of the U-Blocks Max 8s
Oh,
for
man.
$11 a piece.
Well,
And
that's
they're brand new in the shrink wrap and everything. 100 of them on a reel.
Well, that's good if you can get them at that price, but I can't buy 100 of them. I mean, that's
They're
$1,000 bucks.
$25 a piece
Yeah.
through DigiKey, but you can't buy them on DigiKey right now. So
Well, no, hey, I just bought. I bought 2 from DigiKey this week. I ordered them.
well, they must have gotten a shipment in because
Yeah, I ordered them
a month or two ago
because
they didn't have a delivery date.
here's the thing. I'm afraid to try to put one of those 336s on here because it may not work. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna need your help to see if there's any code change. Maybe it'll work without it. I don't know. But so I went ahead and ordered 2 more of the U-Blocks, and they were here in 3 days. From DigiKey.
That's pretty good if they've got it. They have some in stock now.
Yeah.
Back in the fall, you couldn't get anything.
Right.
I'm going to look on DigiKey here and see if the Atmel chips, what their date is showing on those.
Yeah, I think they were out of those.
Yeah.
They were out of those for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big shortage for me is cat food.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, Chewy's been out of stock on several of the cat foods that I use for the kids, and so they've been several weeks late.
Wow.
Yeah, fortunately I've got enough on hand, but it's getting to the point where you have to kind of hunt and dig through the various places to find the specialty foods.
I had a shortage of Rice Krispies. I couldn't find them anywhere.
Oh, what?
And-
I got the last package of ground beef at Sam's the other day.
We had to order them through Amazon at twice the price to get a box of Rice Krispies.
That's insane.
Hey guys,
They
I've
are.
got a quick. Hey,
Walmart up there in what is it?
Walmart?
Vandalia didn't have any? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, there were no. It was all blank. That was in November and December. You could not find any of that stuff.
Well, you should have sent out an SOS. I would have sent you something from the East Coast. We had that stuff, Bill.
Wow.
You got my call sign. If you run out of stuff, let me know. I'll send it to you.
All right, hey guys, I want to do something.
right.
I've got a video here that I was going to show during the show, but we're out of time. I want you to see this. I think this is pretty dangerous, and I want you to look at this, and let's see if we can figure this thing out here. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I want you to look. I want you to look
I
at
saw it
this.
on Twitter.
I want you to look at this. Watch this.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can.
That looks just a few feet above my 10 foot above ground level height limit that I obey.
See if I can get it better here. I want you to watch this.
The scary part is, as a kid, I used to do that stuff.
I never did this right here.
Well, at least he's up there with somebody that can grab onto him if he starts to fall.
Well, let me tell you, you get about 1,000 or 2,000 pound piece of iron swinging at you up there. That's not.
That's insane.
I used to have work with a guy that would carry up a piece of 25 room with his hands, no belt. He would use one arm, he'd have the roan section in one hand, grab on with his feet and the other hand, and he'd just reach up and put the segment on the top, and then he'd go down and get another section, and he'd go up 125 feet.
There's not enough money.
I mean, I tell you what, that thing swinging. If you're
Pretty strong.
it'll knock you. I don't care if you got a belt on. It'll cut you in half up there, man.
that is, there's just not enough money for me to do that stuff.
How high are they?
How high?
Several hundred feet.
They're probably, I don't know, it's like a couple hundred feet probably at least.
I mean, 10 feet above the ground, you kill the same way as a cat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My limit's 10 feet.
Let me tell you, and that helicopter, he's holding it pretty steady up here, man.
That's just amazing.
I'll show you a tower. I'll show you a tower next door to my place in a sec. I'll take the laptop outside. They cheat. It's got a staircase all the way through the centre of it.
Wow.
So much better them than me.
Yeah. This is why you pay people to do stuff.
Yeah, but here a couple of years ago, in a smaller city at the east, the water company stopped using a communications tower they had for trunking for trucks and everything, and they let it rot, and someday they said, well, let's put it down, and they called the Ham Club locally, which is a small city, and the guys told us, when we told them, look, you have to build a second tower parallel to this one so that we can bring this tower down safely, they said, oh, no way. Then they called another company, you have to bring a huge crane to put everything down. No way. Until they finally contracted a couple of guys that said, oh, we'll bring it down, and then came down with the tower, and they got killed. So it's not easy. It's not an easy job. They got the job because they thought they could, but
Yeah.
And
No,
there
it's
is-
amazing.
Somebody was videoing, and it's a terrible video, But
I was probably like 19 years old when I was climbing the 300 footers. And I'm just like, I look back on that now and I was thinking how crazy I was. I mean, I had all the safety equipment. And I still think back on climbing 300-foot towers and saying, what was I thinking?
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
I'm on DigiKey, and it says the U-Box GPS receiver says due to temporary constrained supply, they're not even able to accept back orders or given
Really?
a delivery date. And there's no stock. And I looked up the Atmel 328P microcontroller, and it does give a delivery date estimate of May 29th, 2023.
Holy cow!
Well, man, So
That's
I got.
You have.
I don't know how I got it. I don't know how I got it. But there's the DigiKey order right there that came in. Let's see.
Wow, you got the last ones.
Well,
wow.
I got
2023.
Yeah, 2023.
I ordered something not from them. I ordered something else from Mauser, and they said they had only 6 in stock, and I said I'll take 6. And when I got it, it came in the same day. When I got it, they only had 1, and they put the others on back order. I forget what that was, but I know what it was. It was the
microcontrollers. I found them for $6 or $7 a piece from a surplus house, and we are normally at $1.80 or $2 or so. But right now, DigiKey is showing 2023.
Well, I've got 2 of the U-blocks that get me by, and then hopefully when you get home, you can help me figure out if those 336s will work.
Okay, I'll do that because I have several of those 336s.
Do you?
And I've got a prototype board for one too.
Bill, you have to open an eBay store and sell those 100 for a nice price.
Oh yeah, you could.
Yeah.
You could double your money real easy.
No kidding.
Triple it. You could probably triple it.
Sell 50 of them in the eBay store, and
And
Yeah,
Tom,
maybe I'll win a prize that way.
You've got 15 microcontroller chunks of gold there.
Yeah, I guess. I may only have 12. I don't know. I've got more than 10. More than 10 came in. I don't know.
So all those automobiles that are needing microcontrollers, all the car lots will be selling used cars now for another year, according to that. Year and a half.
I had heard that at first they were going to destroy all those model cars that have been sitting out there. You know, they can't get chips for. And then I heard that they came up with the idea they're just going to remodel them, make them the model for the next year, and they're going to skip a year. So
they're going to use magnetic core memory.
Maybe.
Well, we got a lease car right now, and we got about 6 or 8 months left to go, and they're already getting us the information. They're sending us that we'd like to buy out your lease and put you into a new car. This is about our 3rd or 4th lease, and yeah, we haven't talked to them yet. We're wondering, do they have any new cars? Like my wife, we've had this Acadia for well, come August it'll be 3 years, and we got 13,000 miles on it. And
hey, you know what? Down
we
here,
figure, well, if they can't give us a new car, we'll just buy this one and keep it.
Down here, for like my pickup truck, and my pickup truck now, it's a 2010. But I've got low mileage on it. But they're wanting to buy back. The dealers will buy back the truck for more than what you paid for it, and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, they're running around. Anybody that lists a used car for sale, the dealers are going out and snapping them up because that's the only thing they can sell right now.
Man.
Yeah, even the ads on the radio and TV from some of the local dealerships are, bring in your cars. We'll, give you top dollar for your used cars. Or except for trucks, you go by all the Ford dealerships, the Chevy, the GM around here, and they got pickup trucks, brand new door, but the other cars, no.
Well, I can sell my 1978 Buick Century station wagon. It doesn't have a computer in it.
Yeah. Man.
Well, it doesn't have smog equipment either. You can actually work on it.
Yeah, I still wish I had my 80 El Camino, man. But it smoked a lot. Kind of embarrassing. Crank it up, it smoked a lot. Only when you first crank it, it'd kind of clear up after that,
Yeah, you can tune up anything else with a set of points and condensers, new plugs, and just adjust the carburetor to the right idle, and you're all set to go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I think it's going to be a while before we can see microcontrollers in the hobby industry because all the car manufacturers are going to be first in line to snap them up. There won't be anything left.
Well, they're using a specific microcontroller, though. Their technology is like 7, 8, 9 years behind, and they're using one specific chip. And
Probably
that's the issue.
one I'm using.
Yeah.
Because the Atmel, the Unos and stuff are still around on eBay. They're about double the price, so you pay $6 now, but you can still get them.
Yeah.
But I remember reading that their technology is 8, 9, 10 years old, and they're using this one particular chip, and they're not prepared to tool up to a more modern chip. So they got to get that specific chip.
In military systems, quite often a lot of the electronics in these systems are from the 70s.
Yeah, I don't think these are hardened type chips. It's just a specific type of chip that they use is specific for
it's
them.
because it works. When you have something and it's working, you won't be playing around with
Exactly.
So, hey, Bill, I don't know if you were tuned into the show when I talked about this. Did you see this when I mentioned
I did.
Did you know that?
I'm going to change lanes and let it pass.
Dallas to Houston Interstate is they're running the driverless trucks.
There's one road you will never see me on now.
I wouldn't keep one of those in my rearview mirror.
Oh man!
I can see them trying to do that up here in the UP, with our hills and groves and snow.
Well,
I'd like to see them do it on the Boston.
I'll tell you what. I have a ham friend up there somewhere. I forget Dan. I forget his call up north there somewhere. He ran a kilowatt in his car all the time. He was always talking about how he could pull up beside somebody and mess them up. I just wonder if you key up with a kilowatt right next to that truck, if it would do anything. Man.
I wouldn't do it very close to the truck.
Yeah. Hey, and you know what? That's a FedEx trailer. You know, and also it was just in the news. FedEx has now asked for permission to put missile laser defense systems on our airplanes. Now, they were talking about stuff like that back when I worked there 10, 15 years ago, but now they're actually getting permission to put missile laser defense systems on the planes. I don't know how that works.
For what reason? I saw the headline, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
In case somebody fires a missile at one of our planes, we stop it with a laser.
Yeah, full of Amazon boxes.
We what?
Yeah, that's their official statement. The unofficial statement is you don't want a UPS plane flying near them.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's called dealing with the competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, guys, we got about
Saw a
7
thing,
minutes left
today
here.
on the.
What was that, Colin?
I saw a thing in like on the news over here today saying that there's a pile of American planes are now going to stop flying because you're only just getting 5G phones turned on over there, and the frequencies are only about 200 megs away from the flight. What's it called? The thing that they use when they're landing. But over here we've had 5G a couple years, and our what's it called in Australia? Whatever it's called, that look after the planes. They said it's not going to make any difference to any planes here, but yeah, it looks like quite a few planes in America from today are going to stop flying.
Yeah.
They've already moved the date again, so telephone companies are not deploying the 5G technology for a big perimeter around the airport. They shifted the date forward a bit, but yes, the thing is that people say it has no effect. Well, I prefer that the technology of 5G is delayed and make sure it has no effect before someone gets killed, right?
I just found this.
No, I think it's yes. The Civil Aviation Authority in Australia, yeah, they said doesn't make any difference because like we've had 5G for a couple of years here now, and yeah, they said it's made no difference.
Yeah, but maybe, well, I don't know, maybe in big cities, yeah. I think the problem is that it's where it's located close to the airport. The problem if it's very close to the airport, so I don't know. Maybe it's in.
Well, 5G is only in the cities over here. They'll never get it out here because they have to have so many towers that they'll never get 5G anywhere in the rural areas. It's just it'd be impossible.
Well, I just saw Mike's door open back there. A ghost opened his back door. And how do y'all like Ron? I don't know where Ron went, but he looks like he's Captain. I like that background. It makes him look like Captain Xenon or something, or from another planet.
Yeah, he's with the United Federation of Planets.
United Federation, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's what it says, United Federation of Planets. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I recognize the symbol.
Oh, okay.
I do too.
I just finished binge watching the Enterprise series that I missed back in 2000. Just binged watched all 4 years worth.
All right,
I mean,
guys.
I thought I had seen them all, but I just missed that one for some reason.
Well, let's
Live
see.
long and prosper.
Hey, Glenn, I got 57 episodes of Perry Mason on DVD if you would like to see them.
And do you know that as a kid, I watched that every day and I could never figure out who did it? Never, not once.
He lost one.
Yeah.
Did he?
There was one episode where he lost.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
I've been watching him on the old MeTV channel.
Yeah, that was probably the classic TV show for me growing up. Between that and Hollywood Squares and Jeopardy, that was my daily TV watching.
Nice.
Did you all
never figured it out who did it?
Did you all get snow the other day in Memphis?
Yeah. Well, yes. Just what? 2 days ago
We got a little bit down there.
2 days ago we got about 2 inches.
I know South Haven got a couple inches there. And
Yeah, it stuck for me.
he was complaining. He was complaining. I said, "Stay home." I said, "Don't worry about it. Just stay home."
The streets never iced up. Nothing. We had some on the ground, but.
Well, I had 2 inches at my farm. My neighbor sent me a picture of my house. Yep. I had 2 inches of snow on the mountain in Huntsville, Alabama, and then in Dayton, Ohio, they had that. In Kentucky, they had several inches. Dayton, they had snow, but up here in Northwest Ohio, we had nothing. So what I figure is the North is the new South.
Could be. Hey, and Bill, we're supposed to get another snow this weekend.
Yeah, boy, and that's when I'm heading back.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's when I'm going up to St. Louis.
Better you than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see you in St. Louis.
Yeah, assuming I can make it. Fortunately, it's all interstate for me, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
You're not going to fly?
Not to St. Louis. That's 5 hours from here.
It's only what, about 300 miles, I guess.
Now, I am flying to Orlando.
I could.
Well, that's closer.
No, it's not.
I could drop Glenn off at the airport, drive to St. Louis, and pick him up at the airport, and I'd have to wait for a while.
Yeah. Because I'd have to go through Atlanta.
Yeah.
There you go. Teresa, this one's for you. You remember my badge I wear at Hamfest? The one that says...
Right.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
I got a new one
now. Okay.
That's really cool. I cannot see.
I got to say something here. Or wait a second, I don't know how to do this.
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
Pick something.
Cute.
I couldn't see what the thing on the right was.
M-I-C-K-E-Y.
M-O-U-S-E.
Mickey Mouse.
All right. Hey, good night to everybody out there listening on shortwave. You've been listening to Amateur Radio Roundtable. We're on every Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time on 7490. Good night. See you later.
See y'all next week.
See you next week.
Yep, I just had to go put the dog out in the snowbank so we could do his Huey. So.
We still don't have any snow up here in northern Ohio.
Oh, yeah, about almost 2 feet the other day. About a little bit, about maybe 8 or 10 inches today. Not much.
That's K9ID.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Very cool.
Doctor Who would be very proud.
Well,
that's
I'm just
another
thinking.
show.
I'm just thinking. What I could use for KUB.
Bear cub.
No, you got to have 3 things. See, hey, that's a very famous test at the hospital. It's kidney, urine, and bladder.
Pass.
I guess I could use that. All right, we're going to go ahead and end the stream here. And good night to everybody who's watching out there. We appreciate you. See you next week. But we're going to end the, if I can find the right mouse, we're going to